Hi everyone, this is Phil Travis, and this is ANU Political Science. This is week 4. So this week we start our major class project, and in this class we're not doing a group project, and I'm sure that some of you are relieved by. In this class we are not writing a huge research paper. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to do what I'm calling our journal project assignment. So between now and the end of the term, you will write 4 journal entries, and you will write one summary response. The summary response will just be a one-page response to your experience with the journal project at the end of the term. And then between now and then, you'll have, this week you have your first installment. You'll write a page to a page and a half, no less than a page, type double-spaced. Journal responses. So there will be 4 of them. You'll make 4 1 to 1.5 page journal responses, and then at the end of the term you'll write a summary of what you learned in the project. We're reading from our textbook this week. We're reading part 2, chapter 7 and 8 on political attitudes, and it's actually quite a fitting topic for us to begin our journal project assignment. So let me explain the journal project assignment to you. The journal project assignment is meant to be a critical reading exercise. Okay, in this exercise, we are going to be seeking out biased and opinionated, media articles. And we're going to critically analyze them, and we're going to pick them apart, and we're going to pull out the various, what I call, argumentative tricks that authors will use to sway you to their opinion when they have not actually presented a legitimate argument. So, and this is a very, very important topic for us today. Today, it's very, very hard for a person to gain information on subject matter that is not being written with a very distinct bias, right? So if you watch TV, you turn on Fox News. Fox News is not giving you objective news. Fox News, because they're a cable program, a 24-hour cable program, Fox News' main goal is ratings. And so what they're giving you is they're trying to sell you the product, sell you the ideas that they think their audience wants to hear. Likewise, you find the same thing on the other side of the spectrum. You go over to MSNBC. MSNBC wants to cater to what they believe their audience wants to hear. That's not what news is supposed to do. What news is supposed to do is inform the listener, inform the reader. News is supposed to be something where the reader can look at an objective presentation of what the facts are by somebody like Walter Cronkite, shall we say, and be able to analyze that and think about that and make the best decision as a citizen of this society. Today it's become more and more difficult because we have these spectrums of news media that are really writing their news really only to cater to what they think their audience believes. And that's not really the job of news. The job of news is to inform. And so news should always be presented in an unbiased way, so that any listener, regardless of political bias, can hear the facts and make a coherent and have a coherent and understanded opinion about it. So we are going to try to give you the tools in this journal assignment to be able to kind of pick apart when biased elements of the media are trying to sort of trick you into accepting their argument. So what you'll find all the time, if you search for like opinion news articles on, let's say, U.S.-Iranian relations, you'll find numerous articles that will try to trick you to accept the position of the author without the author having made a consistent and logical argument, without having made an accurate argument. They'll try to find ways to pull you into their camp. And they'll use different argumentative techniques to do this. For example, one of the most common when you talk about Iran is the appeal to fear. Well, we better accept, we better support, such and such in their policy on Iran. If we don't, it could be World War III. Almost always, that's not the case. Almost always, World War III is not the necessary outcome of not supporting one individual on this. But they say that because they want you to be afraid and move to their argument because you're fearful of what they presented you, a false dichotomy. Either you support me or it's the end of the world. Okay, you'll find that kind of stuff all the time in opinion media. So what we're going to do in the journal project, each week you have this assigned. This week is the first submission for your journal. You go online, search online, find, just do Google searches for topics you're interested in. Find opinion articles. Copy and scan the opinion article because you need to provide that at the end of your written essay so I can see it. Read the article. Go through it with a little highlighter or whatever you want. Go through it and pick out the examples, maybe 3 or 4 if you can, of the argumentative tricks that the authors are using to try to sway you to their opinion. And then write a little response essay that explains these 2 articles used appeal to fear. They used a sacred cow. They used a straw man, and explain why they used it and what they are. Okay? So you need to get 2 of those, maybe 3, depending on how much you want. Critique them, analyze them, write a 1.5 page or so response, no less than 1 page response on the articles that explains the argumentative techniques, the argumentative tricks that the authors are using to sway you to their argument, despite the fact that they have not actually presented you with a legitimate and consistent argument. Now you're like, well, how do I learn these argumentative tricks? Well, I have material in our Week 4 content page designed to help you learn what some of the big argumentative tricks are. I have a video, so this week's video presentation is a video on argumentative tricks. Watch that. I will explain in depth what a straw man is. How can you find a straw man? What is a historical fallacy? How can you find a historical fallacy? So watch that. Take notes on that. I also provided you with a Word document in which I've kind of clearly defined and given examples for these terms as well. So study those. Look at the presentation. Examine them. Understand them. And then get your first 2 articles. Just go online. Do a Google search online. Write something like, if you're interested in, I was using Iran. If you're interested in, Iran, write Iran nuclear deal opinion. And you'll find a myriad of articles out there. And you can be really surprised on the amount of variant you'll find. Okay, so find some good articles, read them, critique them, break them down, write an essay that explains the argumentative tricks that they're using. My goal with this is to kind of really help us shape how we think about the media that we consume. We should be most looking in our lives. We should be most looking for objective, unbiased, balanced news. We shouldn't really be getting our news from talking heads on some 24-hour cable TV show, because they're trying to sell you something, and when they're trying to sell you something, it's not going to be good news. You should be looking for as best as we can objective news. I get most of my news from NPR, PBS, and BBC, because they're the ones that have the hour-long news reports, and those tend to be the most objective places to get your news. So we should be thinking about the news media we consume, and my hope is that this will help us become more critical thinkers when it comes to news media. So I hope everybody has fun with it. I think it'll be a really, really enjoyable assignment. If you have any questions, please let me know, and let's have a great week.